Hello, everybody. I hope you're well and safe. Welcome to this episode of Research Writing. Today, I'm going to cover with you topics or sections that talk about what research is all about. I'm going to define research. I'm going to talk about the purpose of research. What is the purpose of research? I'm also going to talk about the differences between a thesis and a dissertation. I'm also going to talk about the stages in research writing. And lastly, I'm going to cover the characteristics of a research topic. So those are the sections that I'm going to cover with you today. Once again, welcome. And I hope all is well with you. Now, in terms of the definition of research, research is an art of science or an art of scientific investigation aimed at gaining new knowledge by means of systematic efforts. Now, it can also be defined as an organized, systematic, critical scientific inquiry or investigation into a specific problem undertaken with the objective of finding answers or solutions thereto. In a simplistic term, it is a systematic inquiry intended at providing information to solve problems. So that's how we define research. That's what research is all about. In terms of the purpose of research, the main purpose of research is to inform action, to prove a theory, and contribute to developing knowledge in a field or study. Thus, your study should seek to contextualize its findings within the larger body of research. This means that research must always be of high quality in order to produce knowledge that is applicable outside of the research setting. That's basically what the purpose of research is. Now, we also going to talk about the differences between a thesis and a dissertation. We know these terms are often used interchangeably. You'll hear students saying, I'm busy with my thesis, I'm busy with my dissertation. We're talking about students that are maybe doing their master's program, others are doing their doctoral programs, and in each category you hear people talking about thesis, about dissertation. Now, the question is there any distinction between the two? In some universities, dissertations and theses are seen as the same thing. But is that correct? Is that right? However, there are a number of differences between the two. Usually, a thesis is submitted at the end of one's master's program or master's degree, and a dissertation is submitted at the end of one's doctoral studies. So already there is a distinction, and we can tell what the distinction is now. That being the case, with regards to lengths, because there's also a distinction in terms of the lengths. Now, with regards to the lengths, a master's thesis should contain at least 20,000 words, likely a bit beyond that. However, a doctoral dissertation should be much more, 2 or 3 times more, because it involves a great deal of background and research information, along with every detail, every little detail, every detail of the proposal and how the information is arrived at. A dissertation is an extremely complex piece of work. So that tells us what the distinction between a dissertation and a thesis is, or the distinctions between the two are. Now, when we talk about the stages in research writing, research is generally portrayed as a multi-stage process that must be followed in order to undertake and complete a research project. Now, although each research project is unique in some ways, it also depending on what the research is all about and what the domain of the research is. All research projects, regardless of phenomenon being studied, involve the same stages. Now, the first stage in research writing talks to identifying the research problem. So the first thing that one needs to do when they are actually conducting a research, despite or rather regardless of the nature of research, regardless of the domain, the first aspect or the first stage, the first step is to identify the research problem. Now, before I go into greater depths with regards to that, there are often people that will tell you that the first thing that I always do is to identify or to come up with a topic first. And then once I've come up with a topic, I then talk about the problem. But that's not the right way to do it. The right way to do it is to establish a problem or to ascertain or identify a problem. Then after identifying the problem, you go into the lengths and breadths of the research. Just like when one is not feeling well, you go to a doctor or a medical doctor. That medical doctor diagnoses you, and then once the diagnosis has been done and the problem has been established, then the treating starts. So it's the same theory, it's the same philosophy that research leans against. So when we look at the problem, we're saying what is or what problem is your study going to tackle? That's the first and the most important aspect regarding research. And the second one is, why is it a problem for the research, academic, and scientific community you belong to, or you wish to belong to, or you will belong to? So that's the second question. And the third question that you need to ask yourself with regards to research is, why is this problem important for you to find a solution? Now, once that has been established, the next question that you need to ask as it pertains to the topic is, how are you going to search for the answers? So that's basically what you need to look into. Quite very important, extremely important. Having done that, you then decide on the topic. So you've established the problem. The next stage then therefore would be to decide on the topic that will assist you in answering the problem that you would have established. So it's quite very interesting. So it's quite very interesting when you look at it from that perspective. So when you decide on the topic, and this stage is also very critical, very important. And this stage and the first stage that I've just spoken about are so intimately intertwined that they are difficult to distinguish from one another or from each other, except that one is a direct product of the other. That's why I indicated earlier on that people get confused a bit. They will tell you that the first aspect or the first approach would be to decide on a topic, and then after that I look at identifying the problem, which I said that's a non-event. So your research topic is the foundation on which everything else rests. So it is critical to choose carefully. So the problem has been established, now the topic. So the topic must be able to answer the question or the problem that you would have established. So the topic will answer that problem, not the other way around. We'll get back to the topic in the next few seconds, because it is very important that we look at all the dynamics that pertain to the topic. Now, the next thing that you need to do is to get the topic approved. Now, if you're doing a scholarly study, some academic institutions will allocate you a supervisor at this stage. The story is, however, different if you're conducting a business research. The story gets to be different. Now, let's look at the characteristics of a research topic. And I'm talking about the characteristics of a good research topic. So, in the light of what I've just discussed, or what I've discussed before, a research is a comprehensive task, and it requires great effort as a researcher on your part. Greater effort, much effort, more effort. You need to walk the extra mile in terms of effort exerting. Now, the first thing that determines the success or failure of your research is the research topic. So if your research is going to be a success, it is all about your topic first. If your research is going to be a failure, or if you're going to fail in terms of your research, it is all about the topic. Greatly so. Now, so the following attributes that I'm going to discuss with you will make for a good research topic. These are the ones that you need to look into before you decide on a research topic, and once you have established the research topic. The first one is clarity. The research topic must be clear. Clarity is the most important quality of any research topic. The topic must be clear so that others can easily understand the nature of your research. It should have a single interpretation, so that the single interpretation must be there so that people will not get distracted. It is important to get people's attention attracted towards what you are going to be talking about. Don't get them distracted. So it must be very, very, very clear in your mind so that you can properly undertake it. In addition, it must be free of any ambiguity. There mustn't be any ambiguity there. You must make sure that it is not ambiguous. Clarity also means that the research topic should have to be directional, and it should set the whole research methodology. That's the first aspect. And the first aspect, as I indicated, talks to clarity. The second one, on the characteristics of a good research topic, would be to do with it being well defined and also well phrased. So we're saying it must be well defined and also well phrased. A well defined and well phrased research topic is half guarantee rather of a successful research. Now, sometimes researchers phrase the research topic in such a way that it gives double-barreled impressions or a double-barreled impression. The research topic should have to be well defined and well phrased, and it should have to be easy to understand. There has to be an element of understandability there. In other words, it should have a single meaning. The next aspect, or the third aspect pertaining to the characteristics of a good research topic, would pertain to the language. Now, the language of the research topic must be simple. That talks to simplicity. Now, you should use technical terms only when it is necessary to do so. Otherwise, you must use simple words so that everyone can understand it. Keep the ethics of writing in your mind to avoid unethical terms or sentences. That is extremely, extremely important. Do not introduce any sort of bias directly or indirectly, willingly or unwillingly, in the research problem or the research topic. Quite extremely important also. Number 4 would talk about the titling of the research problem. And in terms of that, the titling of the research problem should follow the rules of titling. Most of you guys that are into research would understand this term. There are various rules of titling. You can either use a sentence case or a title case, but most of the titles follow title case. You need to read the rules of titling titles before writing it down. You have to study that. You have to do some bit of research in that regard before you push forward your topic. The 5th point that we need to look at would be importance, current importance. The topic must have current importance. Current importance should also be considered, or should be the consideration of the researcher while selecting a topic. As you select a topic, you need to take this into cognizance that this has to be something that is of current importance. So cognizance is something that you need to have around you as you do that, because it is important that your topic has to be of current importance. So when you look at it, an obsolete topic, for instance, obsolete meaning something that is quite old, an obsolete topic will not be beneficial for anyone. And that's just common sense. You should also assess how much the topic will provide benefit in the field in which you are conducting the study. A good example of a good topic which is of current importance would be around COVID-19. One might decide to conduct a research on a topic such as the economic impact of COVID-19 on the global economy. That's very current. It is of current importance, and it also has all the characteristics that I've discussed before. Now, something that is a non-event or that contradicts to all the aspects that I've discussed would be a topic that talks about, for instance, the Old Stone Age. So it is quite very important that these aspects get to be understood. Now, that's basically what I have for you for today. We've covered the definition of research. We've looked at the purpose of research. We've looked at the differences between a thesis and a dissertation. We've looked at the stages of research writing. We've also looked at the characteristics of a research topic. Now, in the next episode, I'm going to get us to look at a proposal. And we're going to look at the proposal from when you take it up from having established the problem and also having come up with a topic. And once that has been done and the topic has been approved, then we go on to proposal writing. So that is what we are going to be looking at in the next stage of research writing, or the next episode of research writing. Thank you so much for joining me. All the best. Thank you.